I wanted to like Alaska Airlines. This was my very first experience with the airline, traveling round trip between Newark and Seattle, flying in business class. I came in with high expectations. In this review, I'll share what worked, what didn't, and the specific moments that shaped my opinion, so you can decide for yourself whether Alaska Airlines is worth your money. As always, this review reflects my personal experience on these flights and represents my honest opinion based on the service and product I received.
Good morning. It is your boy Jeffrey Gard here with The Whole Traveler, and I am in Newark Airport, Terminal B, and I have to be very honest with you in saying in 2026, Terminal B is probably the worst airport in all of the New York City metro area. LaGuardia is a brand new airport. It went from being third world to now one of the world's best airports. JFK is getting a head-to-toe makeover that would make a Kardashian blush. And here at Newark, things are improving. Terminal C and Terminal A have gone through some pretty significant upgrades, but here in Terminal B, it's awful. You know, you definitely will need to bring your patients here. This terminal feels so outdated. It feels like you're in a mall that was built in 1987, and you feel like you're in the outskirts of Cincinnati. It's just not a great place to be. It's, you know, aside from just depressing, it's mad confusing. Terminal B, there's 3 different levels for check-in. I'm at level 2 for check-in. I'm with Alaska Airlines. I'm going to Seattle from here. And to add salt to the wound, this is the Alaska Airlines right behind me. To add salt to the wound, there's no lounge for Alaska Airlines. I'm flying first class, and you normally should get a lounge access for the 6-hour and 11-minute flight, but there is no lounge for Alaska Airlines. Alaska, how could you show your face here in Newark and not provide a lounge or even a partner lounge access? All right, so I'm in gates B40 through 49, and the security here was really slow. The lines weren't too bad, but this was probably the slowest line I've had in some time. The lines now actually move quite fast. You can really get expedited. Even with TSA pre-check and all that, it still took quite a while. I'd probably say like 3 times the time it takes to normally get through a TSA prep line, either in LaGuardia or Newark or JFK. So again, this terminal really shows its age. It kind of shows its decrepitude, its inefficiencies. So you're definitely going to need some patience when we're here in Terminal B. I'm going to show you around, but it's really a pathetic, sad sight. I'm not going to sugarcoat it for you. It's not great. The ceilings are really, really low to the ground, and it just has a lot of old, outdated architecture and design. So I'm going to first try to find something to eat, given that I don't have access to any lounge, and I realize how much I'm a lounge cat. I love my luxuries, and I'm not meant to be on the mean streets of basic economy here, just kind of fighting for my life. But we'll figure it out. The Alaska Airlines flight from Newark to Seattle just landed. I'm here at Seattle Airport, and it's quite a beautiful airport, quite an improvement from Newark's Terminal B. My first impression of Alaska Airlines is not a good one. When you get to those gates B40 through 49, there is a very limited selection of places to eat. You have Starbucks and a couple of other places. It feels very claustrophobic. It feels outdated. It feels dingy, dirty. It's just very uninspiring. And of course, you already know there's no lounge. So that right off the bat is not a great way to start your flight in first class with Alaska. And if I'm being honest about the livery is about 5 years past its expiration date. This livery feels so dated. The seats, the first class seats, feel small. They might be the same length, I don't know, but it just felt tighter. It just did not feel comfortable. It felt like I was in an older first class product. The legroom was okay, it was decent, but the real problem, there's a lot of little problems with the design setup, and it kind of shows the age. The first big one is that there's no nooks and crannies and spaces where you can put all of your different accoutrements, like your phone and your this and your that. And so you're just left with having to hold all your stuff. There's also no visual displays, which is really, really annoying, and it kind of shows Alaska as a cheap airline, really trying to cut those corners by making you have your phone or bring your laptop. But the big problem is that when you open up the tray table is this skinny little rectangular thing that can only fit your tray of food or your tablet. So you're either you either get to watch the movie on the tablet or you get to eat. You can't do both. It was really difficult to do both. I didn't appreciate that. And it really soured the experience. The food was also blah. I don't know how you can mess up fried chicken and waffle, but Alaska has succeeded in that. The food felt cold. It didn't really feel warmed. And the flavors, the sauces that came with it were really funky. I didn't understand or get the flavor profile. Whether it was trying to be Japanese or American, I didn't know, but neither tasted, whatever it was, it just didn't really taste very good, and I didn't really like it. It was almost a 6-hour flight, 5 hours and change, and there was only one meal. I was trying to sleep, which was very uncomfortable. The seat recliner didn't recline very well. It was very stiff. It went just a little bit. But sleeping in that chair was not comfortable. While I was trying to sleep, one of the cabin crew members came around with snacks, but I was sleeping, and she didn't really come and ask me if I wanted anything after I'd woken up, after she had just finished with the last seats. And I thought that would have been a really nice opportunity to say, "Oh, hey, you were sleeping. Did you want some snacks, some nuts or chips or something?" And that's another thing, the cabin crew also, they were aggressively performing in this very kind of robotic, stiff way, which makes it a point to say, I'm deliberately not going to be warm or caring towards you. And that's very much what I experienced on that flight. Categorically, United and Delta outperformed Alaska Airlines first class product on every single category. This is my first impression of this airline, and it's not positive. It's an old, dumpy, kind of jalopy plane that I think has enjoyed having a niche in the Northwestern travel set corridor, but let's see how the return flight goes before I make my final conclusion. But so far, things are not looking good. This is not an airline I would recommend currently, but things might change. We'll have to see on the way back. I'm here at Seattle's airport in Concourse N, like Nancy. There's 3 concourses to this airport. I think there's A, B, and N, like Nancy, and that's where I'm at. I believe that Alaska Airlines is housed in the N concourse. The N concourse itself is a very small concourse. It's not very large at all. You can walk to either end within about less than 5 minutes, even if you're a slow walker. It's also going to be where the Alaska Airlines lounge is housed. It doesn't open until 5 o'clock in the morning, and I got here around 4. Security was a little bit slower than I had hoped it would be. I was TSA pre-check, and it moved actually slower than it does in New York City. So it wasn't terrible, but it also wasn't as fast as you would hope. But eventually, once things got moving, I went through the process, and we're all good. So yeah, I mean, Seattle Airport is fairly decent size. It's broken up into those 3 concourses, like I mentioned. You have to take a train. It works like a funnel system. So the departures hall is the place where everybody starts, and then once you go through security, you're either going to take a train to one of the concourses or whatever concourse is with security. I think that's B. I don't know. Don't quote me. It's 4 in the morning. I don't even know what I'm saying. I'm about to board the flight, or I'm going to be boarding the flight in about an hour. I'm going to go check out the lounge. I have about 20 minutes or so to enjoy the lounge, only 20 minutes. So hopefully the lounge does not disappoint. Hopefully breakfast is ready because I'm hungry. I've also, given that this is a 6-hour flight, and what I've learned from the flight coming here from Newark to Seattle is they don't really have enough food. They give you a meal and then they give you snacks, but if you're asleep during the snacks, you're not going to get any. So I'm actually going to buy like a sandwich and some chips and a drink so I can have that as like the later meal. So when we, get closer to Newark, I can have something to eat as a second meal so that I'm good to go, because I'm basically going to be in the air all day. And this is probably my biggest grievance with Alaska Airlines, is that you have these long transcontinental flights. Seattle, if you're flying from Seattle or you're going to Seattle from anywhere in the country, really, it's going to be a long flight. They haven't mastered the long transcon flight experience. It's obvious they haven't mastered it, because you have Delta and you have United and you have American, who are all rolling out lie flat sleeper pods beyond the New York City LAX, New York City SFO routes. They're starting to catch on and realize that people are willing to pay for these long transcon flights. And Alaska should have been the leader in this. They should have been the ones that said, guys, our flights are a lot longer than others. Let's start making this a premium experience and let others catch up. But now they're the ones playing catch up. It's really setting the stage, I think, for Alaska to actually be phased out. Like, if you are not, the livery is 5 years too old. So if you're selling this product experience that's so outdated compared to what Delta, United, or American are offering, it's only a matter of time before the big three capture that Seattle market, capture that Northwestern corridor market by offering things that Alaska just is so slow to offer, or will not offer. Hopefully it's going to be a different flight experience. They have a lounge, so that's obviously off to a better start. Let's hope for the best.
The club opened at 5 o'clock and we were boarding at 5:23, so it was a really quick experience. The layout and the space of the club is really nice. It's very spacious. It's actually very well laid out, but it's also very basic. It's all designed. There's no incorporated elements. I feel like it's a really missed opportunity to reflect on the culture of Alaska as well as Seattle. It would have been nice to see some original artwork. There's tons of local artists in Seattle, so I feel like that was a missed opportunity. I think lounges are a really beautiful way to connect with the local culture, especially when you're traveling. Even if it's just a business trip where you don't get to see a lot of the city, that can be a gateway to really introducing the culture to people and reinforcing the brand. And I feel like Alaska missed out on that big time. The big disappointment with the Alaska Lounge was the fact that there was no hot breakfast available. There was a pancake maker, which I found was really cute, and there were some pastries, and there were some cold items like fruit, boiled eggs, and yogurt, but it was disappointing that there wasn't really a whole lot of warm options. That was very, if you're going to have really early flights at 6 in the morning, have that option available for folks, especially those who have only 20 minutes to be there. So the flight is wrapped up from Seattle to Newark, and I have to say that it was a much better flight than the Newark to Seattle. But I do have to say the in-flight product was elevated. The cabin, the livery actually had nooks and spaces where you could put things, as well as a cup holder, and then the tray table also had a little device that could hold a tablet or a phone. And so that was a huge improvement from the flight from Newark to Seattle. So that was an improvement. And of course, I think the big improvement was the flight attendants. The cabin crew on this flight were just phenomenally better. Kudos to Sharon, who I think that was her name, Sharon. She was outstanding. She was the ultimate professional flight attendant. She brought cheer to the cabin. She brought a sense of humor, but did not skimp on her professionalism. The service and just the flow was just really, really great. And yeah, the cabin crew just had a more cheerful demeanor than the one from Newark to Seattle, which just felt robotic and almost like school marm, like the teacher like chastising you if you did something wrong, that kind of energy. So that was a huge upgrade. But even despite those upgrades, I would not recommend Alaska. If you're accustomed to Delta or United, I think that if you were to fly this leg, Seattle, Newark, Newark, Seattle, you would be extremely disappointed with their product offering. I think Alaska has to do a lot of improving in order to compete with the likes of Delta or United. And yeah, I mean, despite the fact that this ticket was cheaper, the next time I'm going to definitely stick with Delta. The next time I go to Seattle. So that's a wrap. And I'm still waiting for the luggage. They have some kind of deal where if it doesn't come out in 20 minutes, you get points or something like that. But I mean, again, it's just like, I don't care about gimmicks. I just want good service. All right, so now I'm going home. I'm going to grab my luggage and go home.